Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is a new lesson. This is not grade 8 lesson, it's a grade 10 lesson. For wale ambao wako high school or senior school, those who are studying business, then this is the second lesson of this channel, so of business class. So today we're going to look into business goals. So business goals, that is to set the direction, purpose, and a roadmap for business success. Right. Now let's start our presentation. Now, sometimes you might be asked, what is a business goal? Okay. Running a business without clear goals is like starting a journey without knowing your destination. So without any clear goals, it's just like starting a journey without knowing your destination. Hujui yani malengo yako ni nini, so wanza journey bila kujua yani mwisho wa hatima iko wapi. So business goals usually act as a roadmap. Okay, it shows you the direction, where is the final destination, and everything. So it shows you, or showing the business where to go and how to get there. So they give the business direction, they give it the business purpose and a reason to grow. Now, if someone might ask you what a goal setting is, goal setting is the process of creating specific targets. So you create those specific targets, or the process of creating those specific targets. That's an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who manages his own business and creates profit from it. Okay, and attempts to get that result. So again, goal setting is the process of creating specific targets that an entrepreneur wishes to accomplish within a set period. So jiwekea target fulani in which wewe wataka kuzimaliza in a certain period. And after 2 years, I want to get this and this. So a real life example is when Safaricom sets a goal to expand mobile money access across Kenya. So this goal directed every decision that was made by Safaricom, from agent networks to product design. It's just like a route on a map. Okay. Now, the importance of goal setting. Why does a business need clear goals to succeed? The first importance is to give direction. Just like what? Lazima ujue njia ambao wachukua. So setting goals helps a business know what it wants to achieve and guides it on how to achieve it. Okay. A good example is when a bakery sets a goal to become the top supplier of bread to local schools within a year. So it gives direction, okay, and it guides it on how to achieve it. So the bakery wants to achieve a certain thing, and also the goal setting helps him to guide on how to achieve it, or helps it to guide on how to achieve it. Now, the second importance is to guide decision making. It helps in guiding decision making. Setting goals enables a business to make decisions. So if you don't set goals, then how will a business make its own decision? Because it doesn't know the end product or the end goal. Okay, so lazima set goals so that you can enable a business to make decisions that are in line with its priorities. Priorities, kitu cha kwanza ni gani? Okay, so kitu cha kwanza cha kufanya ni kitu gani? So those are called priorities. Yeah, should I do this first, or this second, or this third? So good example again is when Naivas supermarket prioritizes opening branches in undeserved towns to meet its growth goal. So it wants to open up branches, especially in towns that are very rural, so that it can meet its growth goal. So the third importance is to motivate employees. Goal setting motivates the employees. So setting goals makes employees aware of the direction to be taken. So motivating them to work as a team towards the targets. So kama employee hajui malengo ya kampuni ni gani, itakuwaje sasa? Atafanya kazi vipi? So itakuwa yafanya kazi shingo pande. So a good example is a sales team at an insurance firm is motivated by a shared target of 500 new policies this quarter. Another importance is avoiding mistakes. If you set your goal straight, then you avoid most mistakes that happen within a business. So in the process of setting goals, mistakes that will occur in the business are usually identified in advance so that you can avoid through corrective measures. An example is when a retailer reviews its sales, okay, goal, or a retailer reviewing its sales goal, it notices poor stock forecasting and corrects its ordering system. So once you set your goal, you identify those mistakes early and you create certain measures to avoid them. The other importance is to identify strengths and weakness. Setting goals allows you to identify which strengths does this company have and what are its weaknesses. So setting goals reveals the strengths and weaknesses of a business, enabling the business to develop solutions to any detected weakness. Another example, a Posho mill realizes workers lack machine repair skills, and therefore, taking that part of the weakness, it arranges staff training. So it took the weakness and made it as a strength. Sixth importance is to determine finance requires, or goal setting enables the business to determine the finance required to move the business forward. So setting goals enables the business to work out the amount of finance required to fund its activities, whether it requires 200,000, 300,000, a million shillings, and so on. So the goal setting procedure or the process of goal setting enables the business to determine the finance that it requires or the capital that it requires. So a shop targeting a new branch usually calculates the capital needed for rent, stock, and staff. It prepares in advance. The second importance is that it helps to improve allocation of resources. So setting goals enables entrepreneurs to allocate available resources appropriately, underline the word appropriately, to maximize efficiency. If you set your goals, you know which resources are needed in a specific department or place. Which department wants those resources more compared to the other department. A good example is a juice making business channels more raw materials to its best selling mango juice line. Okay, so ikijua yani tayari mango ndo huwa yauzika sana, so it will take more raw materials to mango rather than other juices. So another importance is it helps adapting to change. Goal setting provides room to accommodate changes, and that is why it's a long process, and therefore it gives time to those business owners to accommodate changes such as competitor actions, disasters, or new government policy. So a good example is a fuel station adjusts its pricing goals after new levy regulations are introduced, and that is because goal setting. Once ushajua nini ushuru utapanda, tayari usha set a goal. Okay, you've set a goal and you've adapted to change. That goal setting helps you to adapt to change. In case ikitokea hii, tayari niko na plan B. So the ninth one is that it helps in evaluating performance. Goal setting outlines standards against which progress can be assessed, allowing adjustment when there is deviation. A good example is a boutique compares monthly sales against its targets and adjusts its marketing plan. So again, goal setting usually outlines standards against which progress can be assessed, allowing adjustment when there is deviation. Case study: Matano's grocery shop. Matano is a person who intends to open a grocery shop in his village. He has a vision of making it successful business, but doesn't know how to begin. Thus, Mama Fatuma, a well-established entrepreneur, advises him that setting clear business goals is important for success. So, what lessons do we apply? Or applying the lesson here, especially the goal setting in business. So, the first one is goal setting creates specific targets Matano wishes to accomplish within a set period. Example, is when it stocks 20 product lines within 3 months. It gives Matano's shop a direction and a clear purpose from day one. It guides his decisions on stock, how much stock should he have or how much stock should he not have, pricing, how much should he price the products, and location, where should I put my business in line with his priorities. It helps him identify strengths. Where is my strength lie? Where does my strength lie? Does it lie on a busy roadside location where I will get more customers? And it helps him to identify the weaknesses. Especially you have a limited starting capital, then what do you do? It allows him to evaluate progress. It enables him to evaluate progress and adjust it. So once you know this is your progress and you adjust that progress so that your shop can grow. Factors to consider when setting goals. What shapes the realistic and achievable business goals? Okay, what makes you to do, or what drives you to set goals? Okay, factors to consider. So as you're setting goals, there are some factors to consider. So the first one is the economic conditions. Okay, factors affecting buyers' ability to purchase, such as changes in income and tax rates, usually helps you in setting a realistic production and marketing goals. So before you set your goals, look at the economic conditions. So for example, during inflation, a furniture shop knows it sells growth targets to a realistic 5%. The second factor is the cultural factor, the norms that regulate people's behavior in society. So, goals in line with cultural norms usually improve the chances of success. So, as you make those goals or as you set these goals, you should consider the cultural factors around you before even setting one. Okay, if the culture or the cultural factors are in line with the goals that you are setting, then it improves the chances of success of your business. A good example is a clothing retailer that sets a goal to stock modest wear that usually matches the local customs or the area around him. If you see there's an area that usually loves Gucci or what, then you try to invest in Gucci more. The the other factor is the resources and competition. Those are two different factors. Availability of finance, facilities, labor, and technology, and identifying competitors' strategies, strengths, and weaknesses. Okay. So example is a cafe studies Jaffa house strength before setting a goal to open near a rival branch. So before you set a goal, look at your competitor. What is that thing that you have that the competitor doesn't have? And what is that thing that the competitor has that you don't have? Do you have that resource that will help you in achieving a long-term objective? If not, then which goals should you set uh, to adapt to that goal? So the other factors to consider is the government policy, GAVA. Okay, the government rules such as taxes, licensing, and standards. The business should set goals in line with these requirements. If you set goals and go against the government rules, otherwise you will go to prison very early. Okay. An example is a food vendor that usually sets a goal to obtain a full health inspection certificate this year. Okay. Another factor is the environmental sustainability. The business should set goals that usually comply with the environmental regulations. Otherwise, you'll be destroying the environment at the end of the day. So things like water disposal, waste disposal, water conservation, and eco-friendly energy should be there when you are setting the goals. So an example is when a plastics company sets a goal to recycle 40% of its packaging waste by next year. The other factor to consider is the technology that you usually use. Efficient use of tools, equipment, and systems to improve operations. So you should use those tools efficiently and you should have them because these systems or these tools are now what makes our life much easier. So the technology should be there whenever you are setting a goal. You should look at technology. What is the technology that is needed right now in the market? Before setting a goal, look at that part. Very important. So technology adopted should align with productivity and marketing goals, because the technology that you have may increase the production rate and the marketing strategies. For example, right now we're in the social media platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook. Does this align with the product that we sell? Example, a butchery sets a goal to adopt an M-Pesa till, okay, and digital stock records this quarter. Case study, Melelo's Posho Mill. Melelo is planning to start a Posho Mill in his home. So he wants his business to succeed in the competitive market and to grow profitably and sustainably. So factors that Melelo should weigh before setting his goals are as follows: the economic conditions, the local, but always state the example, local farmers' income levels affect how much milling they can afford. Okay, resources, cost of a milling machine, electricity supply and diesel as backup power. We also have competition. You look at the nearby Posho mills and their pricing per kilogram. We have the government policy, that is you need to have those business permits, weight and measures compliance. Technology is also another factor, but in alignment with this case study, you need to choose an energy efficient milling machine to cut costs. The last but not least is the environment around you. So make sure that you sustain the environment. So that is proper disposal of hazardous and brand risk. Steps in setting business goals. So we have steps, especially when you're setting your own business goals, or whenever you have a company that wants to set up business goals. So these are the steps that you should take. So the first one is to determine the objective of the business. Kabla hujaanza biashara lazima ujue malengo ya biashara yako. Kwa nini umeanza biashara hii? The second one is to set smart goals. Si ati uweke tu goals tu, but you should set smart goals, measurable, realistic, time-bounded, actionable, and etc. Prioritize goals. So which goal is more important right now compared to the other? And after doing that, you break goals into smaller tasks. Once you know the main goal, then you break that main goal into smaller tasks. What are those tasks that needs to be done in order to achieve that goal? After doing that, now that is when you develop an action plan. Tayari ushasema I'm going to have these goals in this company. Now develop an action plan. My goal is this. Now, what things should I need to do to achieve those goals? That is what we call an action plan. And last but not least, after developing an action plan and executing it, that is when you evaluate your progress. Are those tasks really sensible? Does it reach the end target or not? So setting business goals mean identifying available resources and aligning them to the business vision and objectives to be achieved within a specified period. A real-life example include Kenya Airways determines its objective, that is the route growth. It sets smart targets, prioritizes the new routes, breaks the plan into tasks, builds an action plan, then evaluates load factors monthly. So you've seen it. It determines its objective route. Which route does it need to introduce or grow into? Sets smart targets and prioritizes new routes, and then breaks the plan into tasks, builds an action plan, then evaluates the factors monthly. Okay. Now, understanding the steps, obviously, determining the objective, obviously, is just to identify what the business wants to achieve, such as increasing revenue, maximizing profit, as it wants to maximize profit, or improve customer satisfaction. A salon's objective is to improve customer satisfaction and retain more repeat clients. That is one of the objectives. Set smart goals. Set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So e.g. increase sales revenue very specific, by 10%, measurable in 12 months, time bounded, and it's achievable and realistic. So a phone accessories shop sets raise weekly sales by 15% in 6 months, and etc. Prioritize goals, rank goals by agency, which goals needed to be done right now which goals can be done in the future, and availability of resources. Uh, some goals require limited resources while others need plenty resources. So the business focuses effort where it matters most. So a good example is the hardware shop prioritizes restocking fast moving cement before adding new product. So break into smaller tasks, break each goal into smaller manageable tasks with deadlines. Okay, you need to put deadlines on those tasks. Usije wafanya tu na hujui hii itaisha lini, otherwise you won't achieve anything. So progress can be monitored and accountability ensured. So increase sales by 10% becomes weekly task. Promotions, customer calls, restocking will be part of those tasks. Okay, develop an action plan, a document outlining the steps to be taken. We know these are the goals, these are the smaller tasks. So develop an action plan. How are we going to achieve that? How can we do this task? When I should be supposed to do it? And how are we supposed to do it? So a document outlining the steps to be taken, the resources needed, and the specific time the goal is expected to be achieved. A good example is a tailor drafts a plan listing fabric supplies, machine costs, and a launch date for a new uniform line. So evaluate the progress, track progress regularly to stay on course. That's the last one. So e.g. counting new customers gained every month and adjust where necessary. So counting new customers usually is one of the evaluative progress. So counting new customers gained every month and adjust where necessary. Now, the last example, a gym reviews new membership signups monthly. So evaluate its progress monthly against its annual growth goal. Smart goals. Okay. So a business goal should be smart. This ensures that the goal is clear, trackable, and realistic enough to guide the business to success. So S represents for specific, M is measurable, A achievable, R realistic, and T time bound. Okay. Now specific, be clearly about exactly what you want to achieve within your business instead of stating a vague ambition. So a good example is when you say that I aim to increase sales of children's clothing. You're very specific by 10% in 6 months. That is good than to just say I want to increase sales. Which type of sales, which percentage, and in how many months. Measurable, track your progress by checking how much you achieve every week or month so results can be verified. So measurable. Okay. So a good tool is a simple sales register or till report showing weekly totals against the target. An example is monitoring the number of children's clothing items sold every week or every month. Achievable. A stands for achievable, set goals that you can actually reach. A target that is far beyond current performance becomes encouraging rather than motivating. So if current sales are low, targeting a 90% increase is unachievable. 10 to 15% is practical. Isije wafanya kitu ambao wewe mwenyewe huwezi kuifanya. Sawa? So like saying ati you start with low then go high. So a 90% increase is very unachievable. Huwezi pata tu hapo hapo 90%. But 10 to 15 is practical. R, which is realistic. Set attainable goals, kitu ambao wewe wajua waweza fanya, considering the resources available and current market trends in the business. Example, increasing sales by 10% in 6 months by running product promotions and using the customer feedback. Time bound, set a clear deadline for the goal. In how many months do you want it to be achieved? Is it 6 months, a year, or even 5 years? So that you keep the business more focused. Because if you don't have a deadline, then it means that your goal will just go away with fail. So Again, and the last example is that you tell yourself that I aim at achieving a 10% increase in children's clothing sales in 6 months. Now, short-term versus long-term goals. Short-terms ni goals waweza fanya tu kesho, waweza kesho kutwa, week. So specific objects a business wishes to achieve within a short period. It may be a week or a month or a year. So they help the business improve operations. Mostly they just help to improve operations and focus on immediate action and results. Okay. So first one include increasing sales. That's one of the first goals. Second one is introducing new products. Third one is building customer satisfaction, uh, increasing revenue, reducing expenses. Those short-term goals are just there to increase sales, introducing new products, building customer satisfaction, increasing revenue, and reducing expenses. So the long-term goals include uh, our objectives a business aims to achieve over a longer period. That's why for long term, hutoimaliza hapo hapo. You either achieve it after 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years. They act like a vision and mission of the business. Mostly is that part. So guiding it to focus on the right direction. The things that you should do include opening new branches, increasing market share, those are long-term goals utapata profitable hub or dividend, developing an online shopping platform, and lastly, adopting eco-friendly products. Now, tips for successful goal implementation. If you want to implement a good goal, so the first tip is to review goals regularly. Iangalie tu mara kwa mara. Monitor progress. Where did it reach continually and make any necessary adjustment in case it needs to be adjusted, and you make it right away so the business stays on track towards its targets. Okay, I got an example is as you see, a restaurant usually reviews its monthly revenue goal every Friday and adjusts staffing and menu proportions. Second one involves employees. So if you want to have a successful goal, then you involve employees in setting and implementing goals. Okay, so this keeps them motivated, accountable, and invested in results. Example, Java House involves baristas in setting up branch daily customer service targets. Key takeaways: business goals give a business direction, purpose, and a reason to grow. Goal setting guides decision, motivates staff, and helps evaluate performance. Factors like economics, culture, resources, competition, policy, and technology usually shape realistic goals. Setting goals follows these 6 steps. Objective, create the objective. Smart goals, prioritize activities or goals. Then you do tasks or create tasks from those goals. And then write an actionable plan. So you actionate those goals. And last and but least, after doing those things, then you evaluate that person or that business. Now, every goal should be smart, specific, that includes being specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, and time bound. Short term goals, they drive immediate results, and therefore, long term goals guide the business vision. So, short term goals are just used to cater for the expenses, while long term goals are mostly used to guide the business vision. And with that final takeaway, thank you. I need to thank you guys for watching this video. And in case you haven't understood, write it on the description below. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the notification button so that you can get also that you can access to better online resources. Okay. So again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.